Hey, little muffin. All right, y'all, we get esteem and honor to Abba and Shamayim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. And we're going to pick this up in John chapter 5, verse 39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Alahym in you. I come in my Abba's name, and you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one from another, and not the honor that comes from Alahym only? Do not think that I've accused you to Abba. There's one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. Had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how should you believe my words? All esteem and praise to Abba and Shamayim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Shalom, Emma Sharon. Shalom, Brother Herman. Let's 1 Timothy chapter 3, verse 14. Mommy. 1 Timothy 3 and 14. These things write I unto you, hoping to come unto you shortly. But if I tarry long, that you may know how you ought to behave yourself in the house of Alahym, which is the assembly of the living Alahym, the pillar and ground of the truth. And without controversy, great is the mystery of godliness. Alahym was manifest in the flesh, justified in the Ruach, seen of Malachim, preached unto the Gentiles, believed on in the world, and received up into esteem. And now I got something on the offering side of things based off a question that somebody asked me on threads, based off of something that I seen somebody say, and then I responded to their statement when they said it. So the question was, a dude was asking, do you got to live by faith, keep the commandments, or both? So I responded both. Mentioned what I had to mention, but that's not the point. Somebody asked, well, do you keep the sacrificial laws? So my question to y'all is, if somebody would have asked you that, how would you have responded? Now, I'm going to tell you how I responded after y'all mentioned to me how you possibly would have responded to that. Do you keep the sacrificial law? Shalom, Jay. Does anybody got anything they would, and how they would answer that? If somebody asks you, well, do you keep the sacrificial law? What would you say to that? You say Daniel 9 and 24 and 27, explain that. Let's look and see what it says. And Mr. Room say, you're going to tell him you denying the flesh? Now, when I say sacrificial law, they talking about the literal animal sacrifice law is what they're referring to. For clear context, by the way. Daniel 9 and 24, verse 27. Daniel 9, verse 24. 70 weeks are determined upon your people, upon the Kadash city, to finish the transgression, to make an end of sins, to make a reconciliation for iniquity, to bring in everlasting righteousness, and to seal up the vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most Kadash. Know therefore and understand from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem unto the Mashiach, the Prince, 7 weeks and 62 weeks. The street shall be built again, and the wall even in troublous times. And after 62 weeks shall Mashiach be cut off, and not for himself, and the people of the prince that shall come and destroy the city and the sanctuary, the end thereof with the flood, until the end of the war, desolations are determined. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week, and in the midst of the week shall he cause the sacrifice and oblation to cease, and for the overspreading of abomination he shall make desolate, even to the consummation, and that determined shall be poured upon the desolate. So, again, and this is really either a yes or no, really. Somebody say, do you keep it? If you say, yeah, I believe you got to keep the commandments and the faith of Yahushua, like it say in Revelation, and they ask you, do you keep the sacrificial law? How would you answer that question if someone asked you that? Stanley say he gonna answer with Daniel 9:24. But see, that's gonna lead down a rabbit hole. You may not want to go down that rabbit hole. And Masharona said no. That was she would tell. Hashem said no, there's a shadow. They're not steadfast like Messiah sacrifice. Don't even know who's a Levite to keep a sacrificial law. Very well. Anyone else before I proceed to tell you what I told you? Going once? Going twice? So I told him yes. Now, my question for y'all is, if I told him yes, why do you believe that I told him yes? Now, he didn't respond to me when I told him yes to get the reason why I told him yes. But y'all will get to hear why I told him yes. But I told him yeah. So why do y'all believe that I told him that? Dookie J? Calm down, Dookie J. Anybody? Why you think I told him yes? I got three passages from his side of the book that I know that he was on, because he only, a lot of people like to stay New Testament side. But yeah, I got three things why I told him that. Yeah, that's one of them. That's one of them. Let's take a look at why I told him what I told him. Luke chapter 9, verse 23. Luke chapter 9, I make it verse 18. And it came to pass as he was alone praying, his disciples were with him, and he asked them, saying, whom say people that I am? They answered and said, John the Baptist, some Elijah, others that one of the old prophets is risen again. He said unto them, but whom say you that I am? Peter answered and said, the Mashiach of Alahym. He straightly charged them and commanded to tell no man that thing, saying, the son of Adam must suffer many things and be rejected of the elders and chief priests and scribes, and be slain and raised the third day. And he said to all, if any will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his stake daily and follow me. Now, so with that being said, let's come over here to 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 1. 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 1. And from that, Isaiah chapter 53. From Isaiah chapter 53 to Romans chapter 12. From Romans chapter 12 to 1 Peter chapter 2. See, I would have ran it down for him because it wasn't ready. And then we're going to look in the offerings in the law and see how through Mashiach, if you dwell in him, you got to perform these same offerings also. My God, today. For as much then as the Mashiach has suffered for us in the flesh, arm yourselves likewise with the same mind. For he that suffered in the flesh hath ceased from sin, that he should no longer live the rest of time in the flesh to the lust of men, but to the will of Alahym. That was 1 Peter 4 and 1. Now let's swing over here to Isaiah 53. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, see, I was gonna come at him in a way that I knew that he wasn't gonna be prepared for, because I know a lot of people ask that. You don't even keep the sacrificial law. No, I don't offer bulls and goats, but the sacrificial law is being kept, if you understand. Now, everybody may not understand. Some people may not agree. That's not my problem or my business. Joanne, leave my son alone. Isaiah 53 and verse 1. He said, who have believed our report, and is whom is the arm of Yahuwah revealed. So let's pause. Let's deal with that. Because before you can even talk about performing any of these sacrifices, before you can even talk about arming yourselves likewise with the same mind to suffer in the flesh, before you can talk about taking up your stake daily and following him, you would need to believe his report. So let's hit this Romans 10 and 14 on general principle. I'll make it 10 and 9 if you would. that if you shall confess with your mouth the Lord Yahushua and believe in your heart that Alahym will raise him from the dead, you shall be saved. For with the heart man believe unto righteousness, and with the mouth confession is made unto salvation. For the scriptures say, whosoever believe on him shall not be ashamed. For there's no difference between the Yahudim and the Greek. For the same Lord over all is rich unto all that call upon him. For whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. How then shall they call on him whom they have not believed? And how shall they believe in him whom they have not heard? And how shall they hear without a preacher? And remember what we read a couple weeks back that Paul quoted from Psalms, that he said, I believe, therefore I have spoken. Because somebody asked this question the other day. I forgot what we were talking about. But I know I told these people, like, you understand something? You got a lot of people who speak the word and they don't believe nothing that they preach. And they don't believe nothing that they teach it. And just because you see somebody talking word don't mean that they believe it. I listen to people have a lot of conversations. Like there was a conversation had yesterday because people was talking to atheists. Now, some of y'all are not in these internet spaces, and this is a more white Christian thing, though you have some black people who in the word that participate in this, that they like to have conversations with atheists and go head up with atheists and try to prove to atheists that Yahuwah is real and things of this nature. I don't particularly care to do that. You know what I'm talking about? As far as it's like going to seek them out. But let me read something to you. My man's had hit these people off with talking about good old atheists. Come over here to Psalm 14. This was his viewpoint of what he said he would say to an atheist. Psalms 14:1 says this: the fool have said in his heart, no Alahym. So you would have to already know an individual who say that there's no Alahym, there's no Yahuwah, this person is a fool. And then you know what the book say, once you determine that somebody is a fool, depart from them. They are corrupt, they have done abominable works, none that do good. Yahuwah looked down from Shamayim upon the sons of Adam to see if there are any that did understand and seek Alahym. They are all gone aside, they are all together become filthy, there is none that do good, no, not one. Have all the workers of iniquity no knowledge? Who eat up my people as they eat bread and call not upon Yahuwah? Notice he said, do all the workers of iniquity have no knowledge? But we know that's not the case. It's a lot of workers of iniquity have full-fledged knowledge on what it is that they do. You know what I'm talking about? But see, we don't want to pretty much deal with that, talk about that. You know what I'm saying? Or any of that, because we living in la la land. In that conversation, I just was mentioning to her like, you know, I'm not finna sit and talk to an atheist when I know they want to scoff and mock. Shalom, Brother Marvin. I'm not finna do that. I don't have a desire to do that, so I'm not. If you want to do that, that's your business. See, I'm a sincere believer of what the man said in walking away. Because she was like, we could have preached the gospel to this man. Now, these gentlemen knew this man. This man said he believed the word for 40 years. And he'd been an atheist for 20. I say, baby, if he was in the word for 40 years and walked away, baby, he never believed it. Well, what people have to understand is just because somebody been doing something for a long time does not mean that they believe it is in what they're doing. They just been doing it. They just been showing up. See, man, look here, man. I've been telling you this for years, showing you this out the text for years. You're supposed to be looking at the output, not somebody showing up. Just because you show up for a Sabbath don't mean you believe. You could be showing up for 10 years straight and not believe nothing you hearing. Y'all have literally seen people who showed up week after week and they ain't believed none of it. And you know that from the actions after the fact. See, people want to believe Yahuwah as it's convenient for them. See, the conversation sparked off from the night before about people talking about, would you do what Abraham did with Isaac? And I hate when people ask that type of question because that's a unique situation and circumstance. This is a man whose wife was past birth-giving age. Shalom Yedadiah, man. Past birth-giving age. And then he promised this seed to this man a good 10 to 15 years before he had the child. And then testing his faith in a different fashion. Because he's like, he say, if God told you to kill your grandmother, would you kill him? I'm like, nigga, Yahuwah wouldn't ask you to do that. You know what I'm saying? And you can't use Abraham as a juxtaposition because he didn't promise your grandma as a seed to you. So why would he ask you to kill her? But he's talking about this is the type of stuff that atheists come with, right? See, I'm not entertaining conversations like that. That's asinine. It's retarded. Because see, what ends up happening is you're going to get emotional to try to defend your God. I'm going to be feeling just like the Lord felt. Why are you tempting me? Because you're trying to prove and try me. I'm not participating in that. See, if you don't have wisdom to know that you ain't supposed to participate in that, then you always going to be fussing, fighting, and arguing with people. You know what I'm talking about? Then I had another gentleman who proved the very point we were talking about last week about a watchman. The definition of something practiced over and over religiously. Indeed, and people say it's not a religion, but you're supposed to take up your stake daily and follow. You know what I'm talking about? But that's a whole nother conversation. And I was telling the dude, he was like, I got to warn these people on here. I say, bro, you ain't nobody's watching. He referenced Ezekiel 3. Then he told me, I say, bro, I already know what Ezekiel 3 say, bro, and you're not nobody's watchman. Why do people read that about a watchman and don't pay attention to they say in the coast of the city that you in? You are not responsible for everybody you come across. What's good, Zo? It literally tell you in the law, don't suffer sin upon your neighbor, but rebuke him. But y'all not rebuking people's sins. Y'all rebuking doctrine. What are you talking about? And that nigga pissed me off. Because in talking to him, I'm like, yeah, bro, you don't care about people. Niggas care about doctrines and being right and proving themselves to be this scripturally knowledgeable person. You understand? That's how you can be a worker of iniquity with no knowledge. You can have that knowledge and still be a worker of iniquity. This man literally said, have we not prophesied in your streets? Have we not did many wonderful works in your name? And I will say to you, depart from me, you worker of iniquity. I never knew you. Let me read that verse to you again, man. I want that to resonate in your mind. You understand what I'm telling you? He said, have all the workers of iniquity no knowledge? This is a question that's being asked in Psalm 14. Have all the workers of iniquity have no knowledge? The answer is no. A lot of workers of iniquity got plenty knowledge. So as we talking to these people, and there was a young lady on there, and then all she was proving is why women ain't supposed to be teaching no word. Do you know what this woman asked me? She said, you don't think we could win him to God with our testimony? No, absolutely not. I don't know why you niggas think your life testimony is going to save somebody's soul or make somebody serve God. I know you learned that in the church. You need to unlearn it. I ain't even being funny because that's the only place you could have got that from. Because you don't read that nowhere in this word that your witness of what he did for you going to make somebody believe in him. When he said, who have believed our report? To whom is the arm of Yahuwah revealed? Faith come by hearing and hearing come by the word. They shall be saved by preaching. This is what the book say. We got it in our mind if I just tell him how good Jesus been to me. Man, that don't mean nothing to nobody. You have not given them the word of Yahuwah for them to believe. What you think you've done, what's going to end up happening is they'll come around for a little bit. But when persecution or tribulation arrive because of the word, they're going to be offended. When the cares and affairs and the riches of this life come through and choke off the word, that it don't bear forth no fruit. Because it's the word that saves, not your testimony, not your songs, not your dancing, not your rapping, not nothing, but the word. Which is why he told you that I gave you some apostles, some prophets, some evangelists, some pastors, some teachers. Absolutely. Indeed, Lil Johnny, he says, sound good, but a testimony ain't going to put that desire in your heart. And it's not the word of faith. Some stuff that you, look here, right, I'll be honest with you, right? Say they coming because she pretty and they find. No, this somebody that they're not even in person with them. But I'm telling you this because this is usually a woman's frame of mind. She thinks that that's going to be important to move somebody because that's important to her. So in her mind, she thinking when I tell him how good he's been to me, he'll want to serve him too. The same way that a woman talk about a man she likes or a friend. That's not how it works. This is why Peter wrote that if a woman want to win somebody, she needs to win them without the word. but from her chaste conduct. That's why I say that. Say a farmer ain't bigger than the seed. He can't make it rain or stop. Indeed. And this man say the seed, the word of God. It's the seed. Your testimony can't bring forth no fruit. Is it? I don't necessarily say it's self-righteous in this instance. It's a misguided attempt to do something. Because if you feel like it's important, so you think it'll be important to somebody else. But what your testimony of how good Yahuwah has been to you is really only profitable to those who believe also. Because see, that would give them comfort in the midst of something to hear a witness of how good Yahuwah is. That's beneficial to people who believe. The same way he tell you that prophesying is beneficial to people who believe. Prophesying is not beneficial to an unbeliever. That's why he said miracles and signs and wonders are for unbelievers. See, the gospel is for everybody, believer and unbeliever alike. Shalom, Eve, man. So you have to understand what is what and what certain things are for. All the mentioning all this because this is coming in on how I know how to act in the house of Alahym. Because that's what kind of Paul was writing about in 1 Corinthians 14. It's supposed to be a certain structure and order and how things are supposed to be done. That's why I mentioned that. That's what the book say. Prophesying is for those who believe. So we know the testimony of Yahushua is the ruach of prophecy. Now, of course, the good news is for everybody, unbeliever and believer alike. See, the book tell you the songs, the psalms, the hymns, the raps, whatever you want to come up, that's not for an unbeliever. It's not. That's for believers. Those songs don't benefit an unbeliever because if you sing it with understanding like the book tell you to do, they're not going to understand what you're talking about because they don't have any understanding. So that, see, this is what a lot of brews don't understand. No, sinners are not going to gravitate to your music, and you're a jackass if you're making it for them. It's not for them. It's for believers. It's not for them. See, if you had the ability to do a sign or a wonder, that's not for, or like we read last week, the gift of miracles. That is not for people who believe. That's for people who don't believe. We've went over this before. Moses and Aaron in Exodus chapter 4 showed signs and wonders to all of Yasharal. They had never known Yahuwah. They never interacted with Yahuwah. They didn't believe. That's what those were for. And if we need to reiterate that this evening, I shall. Let's just go ahead with this Roman 10, though, where I was at. Verse 14. How then shall they call on him whom they have not believed? How shall they believe in him whom they have not heard? How shall they hear without a preacher? How shall they preach except they be sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of them that preach the gospel of shalom and bring glad tidings of good things. But they have not all obeyed the gospel. For Isaiah say, Lord, who have believed our report? So then faith by hearing and hearing by the word of Alahym. Look here, man. Man, I can't believe on Yahuwah off your testimony. That's not how this works. Peace, Brother Omar. This is not how this works. Nobody wants to do this thing how this man say it worked. And the ladies got offended because I think they thought I was talking about women when I said to them what I said to y'all all the time, that this people hates masculine authority. See, the woman heard it and she automatically thought I was talking about women. You know what I'm saying? God bless Brother Smoke. This people hates masculine authority. You don't respect masculine authority. You don't want structure and you don't want order. You want to do things how you want to do it and then believe that Yahuwah are going to accept it. Even though that is completely and 100% contrary to his complete order of operation. Because, we a nation. You're a nation who has a structure that your God set that you refuse to follow. Because you claim that you don't want to be like a church. Well, guess what, jackass? He set it up the way he set it up. I don't care what happened in the Christian church. I don't care about what about it you didn't like. That don't change that the man set an order that you niggas refuse to follow. And then think he blessing what you doing. you and everybody following you gonna perish because you're not doing it according to the due order. When we read about David in that doggone Ark of the Covenant, when it was in Obed-Edom's house, see, we read where he said David was sad because he said, how am I going to get it into the tabernacle? But we didn't read what was happening before that when that Levite touched it out of order and he died. And he said, you know what happened? David said, man, we didn't do this after the due order. That man said there's a way that seemed right to a man, but the end thereof is death. Just because it seemed right to you don't mean you who are going to accept it. You just can't do what you want to do. You just can't frame it how you want to frame it. You got to do it how he said to do it. But nobody wants to do that. Come on back to Isaiah 53. And I don't know why it's so hard, because his system is very easy. It's not grievous. It's not an inordinate structure. You know what I'm talking about? We were talking about this the other day, man. Like, it's not the word that's the problem. It's the niggas who are in charge. And I mentioned all that to get to the point because that's what I was forgetting. When we were talking that yesterday, because this lady asked, well, why are all these men always debating the word of God and it's a chest poking out contest? I say, baby, if you actually know the word, then you would know a servant of God wouldn't be out here debating niggas about no doctrine, no way. But y'all don't know how to discern between who work for you, who and who don't. I say niggas who don't work for God are always looking to argue a doctrine. Niggas who work for God are going to be looking at how they can serve the people so they can be saved, because their concern is the people, not goddamn doctrine. Not let me cut his teachings up. Not let me prove his teachings wrong. A nigga who do that, Yahuwah ain't son him. And if you think Yahuwah sent somebody to do that, you smoking crack. Because you can't find a single solitary person who Yahuwah's son who did that. You can't find one because it's never happened. It's never happened. Because those people are going to be concerned with the souls of the people. This is why Solomon wrote, he that wins souls is wise, because that's what they're concerned with. I'm not concerned with proving your teaching wrong. Look at it this way, right? When it came to the scribes and Pharisees, what did Mashiach tell his apostles? What are some of the things that he told his apostles as it pertains to the Pharisees? Any of y'all know some of the things that he said to his disciples as it pertains to those men? Or the people at large? What are some of the things that he told them? Did Mashiach walk around trying to cut up the scribes and Pharisees' doctrine? Did he walk around doing that? Brother Nate hit the nail on the head. He said, beware of the hypocrisy. He said, beware of the leaven of the scribes and the Pharisees, which is hypocrisy. Left it at that. That's all he told them. He said, you need to beware of their unfaithfulness, and left it at that. He didn't go into no doctrine on what they teaching. He didn't feel the need to say, let me cut up their teaching. He said, you better watch them. That's all he told them. Saying these things because they have not. Yeah. And that's a different conversation, because that's them talking about them going to kill them boys. Did he also not say that the scribes sit in Moses' seat and everything they bid you to do, observe and do, but don't do after they work? Did he tell you to walk around and correct them on everything? He said, watch them. You see what they doing? Don't do it. But what that book say, do it. See, niggas go out here looking for strife and contention. He not telling you to cause no strife and contention. He telling you to be on top of your game, peep the game, and keep your pimping accordingly. But you don't want to do that because you're more concerned with proving these people wrong. I don't care. I don't care. I genuinely do not care. I do not scroll through the internet looking for people's teachings. I don't. You know what I'm talking about? Niggas who do that, they looking for an argument. I'm like, there's real people out here dealing with real stuff. I ain't got no time to be trying to cut up nobody. I don't care what these niggas teaching. That's not my business. Why is it so hard for people to mind their own business? Why you worry about what he doing? How is what he preaching doing for you? And when I say that, I'm talking about from this perspective of somebody who call themselves teaching the word to other people. Why do you care what he teaching? See, it's different if you listening for word and you like, yeah, I want to see what he talking about. Okay, yeah, I see he ain't got no word. I ain't listening to him. That's different. I'm talking about you say you use a doctrine giver. Why do you care? I don't care what that nigga teaching. That ain't got nothing to do with me. I'm not under his charge, so I'm not concerned. If he laboring, let him labor. If he teaching falsely, he'll get it. It'll be shown. I ain't got to do all that. That's not my business. See, these dudes feel like you're supposed to go out here and stop that. Let me tell y'all something real, man. If ain't nobody ever told you before, you cannot stop false doctrine. False doctrine has been here, and it will be here till the Lord return. You can't stop it. So chasing after to feel like you got to correct everything you see is wrong is retarded. Because Yahusha didn't even do that. Listen, the Sadducees were teaching there was no resurrection of the dead. You don't read nowhere in the text. It's not to say that it didn't happen because, of course, everything ain't recorded. You don't see it written in the text, Mashiach going to check them about that until they step to him about that. Then he told them, you do err and don't know the scriptures nor the power of Alahym. He didn't even go to cut their doctrine. He went to show forth the power of God because I don't care about your doctrine. And you know why I don't care about your doctrine? Because I know my dope good. So all I got to do is just put mine out there and let that be seen. I ain't got to do that. You only do that because you know you ain't working with nothing. You understand? Your work is trash. You selling water whip, man. That ain't no hard. That ain't no doggone hard, man. That ain't no straight drop you serving. You know your product ain't that good. So you have to focus on somebody else's product to compensate for the fact that your product is trash. But let's look at Proverbs 17 and 4 then, brother. Think about that. Let that resonate in your brain for a moment. Then we come back to Isaiah 53. So I can get back on task. I went the wrong way. Proverbs 17 and 4 says, a wicked doer give heed to false lips, and a liar give ear to a naughty tongue. And there's absolutely nothing you can do about that. There's absolutely nothing you can do about that. That just is what it is. It just is what it is. Back to Isaiah 53, though. I read verse 1, I'll read it again. Who have believed our report, and to whom is the arm of Yahuwah revealed? For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant, as a root out of a dry ground. He have no form nor comeliness, and when we shall see him, no beauty that we should desire him. He is despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrows, acquainted with grief. We hid, as it were, our faces from him. He was despised, and we esteemed him not. Surely he had borne our griefs and carried our sorrows, yet we did esteem him stricken, smitten of Alahym, and afflicted. But he was wounded for our transgressions, bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our shalom was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. So as we drop down to verse 10, and it pleased Yahuwah to bruise him, he hath put to grief. When you shall make his soul an offering for sin, he shall see seed, he shall prolong days. The pleasure of Yahuwah shall prosper in his hand. He shall see the travail of his soul, he shall be satisfied. By his knowledge shall my righteous servant justify many, and he shall bear their iniquities. Now, of course, you know, you got people running around here telling you that's Israel. How Israel can bear their own iniquities and be an offering for their own sins is dumb as a doggone. I don't even know what you could describe, what animal or human being that you could even describe to be as stupid as such an assertion as that. Shalom, Sister Regina. How is a sinner going to redeem themselves from sin? How is the worker of iniquity going to bear their own iniquity? That don't make common sense. Let's look at bear their iniquities, you dig? Of course, you know, iniquities is avon, but bear here is sabal. Samad, bat, and lamad. So guess what? That doggone son and his teachings, you better grab hold to him. And that is to bear a load, to drag oneself, to make oneself a burden, to drag oneself along, strong to labor, but in all intents and purposes, to carry a load. Making your soul your nephash, an offering for sin. And of course, you know, soul is nephash, offering for sin is a sham, aleph, shan, and mean. And that is a guilt, offense, sin, or a compensation for an offense, a trespass, or a sin offering. Now, how in the world is Israel going to make compensation for their own offense? By offering themselves. Who got offered? When did they get offered? How did they get offered? How do you pull this off? Now, I'm going to read Hosea 14:4 because, you know, we've done dealt with it plenty of times over the years, but recently I just want this to resonate in your mind because of the word that is used there, which is Gaal, which is your kinsman redeemer. If I can get around that, we might can make a move. There we go. Hosea 14. Well, I said 14:4. It's really 13. My bad. 13 and 14. Hosea 13 and 14. I will ransom them from the power of the grave. I will redeem them from death. O death, I will be your plagues. O grave, I will be your destruction. Repentance shall be hid from my eyes. When this man said, I will redeem you from death, that's Gaal. That's a kinsman redeemer. Now we know the guilt, the penalty for sin is death. You can't repent your way out of that. You can't repent your way out of that because he can forgive you, but you still gonna die. You can't make that compensation for that offense because y'all already know Psalms 49 tell you that. We ain't got to read that. We read Daniel 9 earlier. Now listen. Let me read you Deuteronomy 17 real fast. Not Dr. Bandos. Deuteronomy 17 and 1. You shall not sacrifice unto Yahuwah your Alahym bullock or sheep where blemish or any evil favoredness. That is an abomination unto Yahuwah your Alahym. I just want y'all to understand, what is to be evil favored? What does that mean? And it's simply just the word ra. Anything that's bad, evil, malignant, disagreeable, worse, unkind, wicked. You know what I'm saying? And then other stuff just dealing with that there, right? Man, you can't bring no type of sacrifice to Yahuwah that's wicked. You can't bring no type of sacrifice to Yahuwah that got a blemish in it. This, of course, if you don't remember what blemish is, that is moon, and that's something that has a spot or a defect, a moral stain. You can't make no sacrifices like that. Indeed, everybody done fell short, but now you have the opportunity to be born again. So, and this is the point that we're getting to, because I'm getting to this point for those of y'all who didn't hear. Somebody that asked, are you supposed to keep the commandments and the faith, this, that, and the third? You know, I told him, yeah, you do both. And somebody asked, do you keep the sacrificial law then? And I told him, yes. He didn't respond to that. Y'all are hearing what my response would have been to him if he would have responded to that. Because yes, you do keep the sacrificial law, just not in the way that these average people going to talk to you, because we ain't talking about sacrificing no bulls and goats, because Yahuwah never cared about no bulls and goats. He never cared about that. He wanted you to be the sacrifice. And we're going to look at that and see how you're supposed to conduct yourself in the house of Alahym as it pertains to these sacrifices. So let's continue. That way we can talk about some of the offerings that are in the law that have nothing to do with any type of monetary amounts attached to them. Yeah, and we'll deal with what does that mean to make those sacrifices. Because see, people do certain things, but their heart is foul when they're doing it. It's the same thing as if you was to go to Yahuwah with an animal to make a sacrifice and your heart is foul. Indeed, Hashem, leave the gift, get right with your brother, then come back and give your gift. You know what I'm talking about? So let's look at the next thing, Romans 12 and 1. What does Romans 12 and 1 tell you to do? Well, let's look and see. Romans 12 and 1 tell you, I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of Alahym, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, Kadash, acceptable unto Alahym, your reasonable service. Is he referring to peace and thanksgiving offerings? Well, let's look and see. Let's look at living sacrifice. What does that mean? When you look in the Greek with living, that is dazo. That's to live, to breathe, to be among the living, not lifeless or dead, to have true life. Blessed in the endless kingdom of Alahym, like to live, the manner of living and acting. Also to be of vigor, strong. But more important is to be alive. Because you got to understand, son, if you sacrifice something, it will be dead. There's no such thing as you could sacrifice an animal and it's alive after the fact. Now, you know, in Hebrew, the word for sacrifice is zabak. So in this one, in the Greek, it is those. And that is to be a sacrifice or a victim, literally or figuratively, a sacrifice. So this is a living sacrifice. You say because people were supposed to present those daily, right? Yeah, I mean, you did. Well, not necessarily the people had to present them, but there were certain daily sacrifices indeed. But didn't that those were sacrifices that the priests had to execute, not necessarily that the people had to bring themselves. You know what I'm talking about? So now we're going to go over here to 1 Peter chapter 2. First Peter chapter 2. I will pick this up at verse 1 on general principle. 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 1 says, wherefore laying aside all malice and guile and hypocrisies, envies and evil speakings as newborn babes, desire the sincere milk of the word that you may grow thereby. If so be you have tasted that the Lord is gracious. Peace, bazooka, man. He said, to whom a living stone, disallowed indeed of men, but chosen of Alahym, precious. You also, as lively stones, are built up a spiritual house, a Kadash priesthood, to offer up spiritual sacrifices acceptable to Alahym by Yahushua HaMashiach. This is what we're here for. This man is sitting here telling you that you're offering up spiritual sacrifices. What is a spiritual sacrifice? What does that even mean? Now, Derek just mentioned one. Let's go look in Psalms 51 and 17. What we're getting to look at is how you can offer up a spiritual sin sacrifice. But it's not going to be in the context of what you're thinking. How you offer up a burnt offering. How you offer up a voluntary offering. How you make all these offerings, you can make these sacrifices yourself. And you don't have to go to an intermediary as it in the past in the priesthood of Aaron and Levi, but that you can go strictly to the priesthood of Melchizedek. What you finna do? To the priesthood of Melchizedek, you can go straight to your high priest, Yahushua HaMashiach. That's why he say to make spiritual sacrifices acceptable to Alahym by Yahushua HaMashiach. See, before you would give your offering to the Levite, and the Levite would give it to the high priest, correct? Is that not how the law say that went down? See, now you can go straight to the high priest and make that offering. How do we know that? Let me read the Hebrews 4. What is it? Hebrews 4 and 14? Yeah, 4 and 14 is fine. But I'll make it 4 and 12 on the house. For the word of Alahym, quick, which means it's alive, powerful, sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even to the dividing asunder of soul and ruach and the joints and marrow, a discerner of the thoughts and intents of the heart. Neither is there any creature that is not manifested in sight, but all things naked and open unto the eyes of him whom we have to do. Seeing then that we have a great high priest that is passed in the Shamahim, Yahushua the son of Alahym, let us hold fast our profession. For we have not a high priest which cannot be touched with the feeling of our weaknesses, but was in all points tempted like as without sin. Let us therefore come boldly unto the throne of grace, that we may obtain mercy and find grace to help in the time of need. When he say the throne of grace, what is he talking about? That should be easy for you. When he say the throne of grace, what is he talking about? When he says the throne of grace, what is he talking about? Anybody got any idea? Or y'all just not able to answer at this time? When he say you can come to the throne of grace, the reason we're asking this question because it's going to show how well you know your law to understand the statement that he making. The holiest of holies, indeed. But what's inside the holiest of holies, Bazooka? What's in that inner sanctum? That's right, Mother Sharona, the mercy seat. And who is the only person, according to your law, that was allowed to go into the mercy seat? The high priest. And then we just talked about this the other day with the Korathites, when we were talking about that age 30 to 50. What was the Korathites' job to do? To cover all the vessels in the veil. Hey, Joanne, calm down before you fall. So it didn't say with the Korathites that if they went into the inner sanctum, that they would die. But guess what? Did we not read in Matthew 27 that when this man got sacrificed, and then the temple rent in the temple, but the veil, cut it out. So if the veil in the temple is rent, your access to go into the holies of holies has been granted. You can go straight to the high priest and offer your sacrifice to him. You can give it straight to him, and he can offer it to Alahym for you. You don't have to go to a Levite and do it anymore. That's what people don't understand. While you worrying about a Levitical priesthood and talking about Shalom, Amuna, and talking about Levites this and Levite that, you had to go to the Levite, and the Levite had to go to the high priest, and the high priest went to Yahuwah for you. Now you can go straight to the high priest because your Redeemer is the high priest, and he go to the Father for you with the sacrifices that you bringing. But now we're not bringing bulls and goats and bullocks and things of that nature. Because now you making spiritual sacrifices to Alahym. You the living sacrifice. And that sacrifice can't have no blemish. It can't have no defect. It can't have it. What does that mean? Come over here to the book of Proverbs. Let me see what Proverbs I want. I think it's Proverbs 11, but let me make sure. Amen, Mother Sharona. Amen. Come over. It's actually Proverbs 15 that we need. Proverbs 15 and 8, actually. Proverbs 15 and 8, then we can hit Proverbs 21. It says the sacrifice of the wicked an abomination to Yahuwah, but the prayer of the upright is his delight. The way of the wicked is an abomination unto Yahuwah, but he love him that follow after righteousness. Listen, come over here to Proverbs 21. Proverbs 21. Proverbs 21 and because I'm gonna hit a few more things before we get to what we're gonna get to. Verse 15. Proverbs 21 and 15. There's got to be without sin. And when we talk about without sin with this sacrifice, it's more so without carnality. Because what do you read in Romans 8? He tell you that the carnal mind is enmity against the spiritual mind. It's not subject to the law of Alahym, neither indeed can be. So we have to look at what are these spiritual sacrifices that you offering if they covered in sin. And your sin is what's in Mark 7. It's not what goes into a man that defiles him, but what comes out. See, right before I got on here, I ain't gonna go to detail. My dog had just told one of the other dogs in the room that I'm always in. He told me, yeah, boy, you got a wicked heart. Now, they were talking about something as it pertains to Caleb. But that's really the spot, the defects and the blemish. That's where it come in at if your heart is wicked. You know what I'm talking about? If that heart is black, them sacrifices you doing don't mean nothing. They don't mean nothing. Because it would be the same as if you brought him on Passover a lamb that wasn't a firstborn male with a blemish. He's not going to take it. Let me let y'all understand something I've been telling you for years, man. Just like Aaron, indeed, dear, just like when Aaron's sons offered the incense with the strange fire. Let me tell y'all something real, man. Yahuwah not taking something just because you offered it and you felt like he should take it. He only taking it according to what he said. You have to get that out of your mind. And what do these people like to tell you? God will use any? No, man. When somebody tell you Yahuwah just do anything, any type of way, they don't know God. You need to walk away from them. Shalom, Brother Ernie. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't know him. And this is what I mean when I say most people don't like masculine authority. Men who are men have rules and they don't bend them to satisfy you. They don't compromise them to please you. That's what people believe that a man is supposed to do. That's the compromise. What do we know? What have I told you for years? How did Yahushua describe himself? As an austere man. That's amen, Bazooka. That's why he rejected Cain's offering, because it wasn't what he wanted. Because most people don't want to deal with a God who would do that. Yahushua said he was an austere man. For those of y'all who don't know what that means he's rigorously self-disciplined and uncompromising. Yahushua's not compromising for anyone about nothing. If it's not what he wants, he's not taking it. He don't care what you did to bring it. He ain't gonna take. Let me tell you something, right? Shalom, Brother Marcus. Hold on, I got you, Brother Herman. Let me tell y'all something real, man. Yahushua wouldn't care if you came with a cash offering of $3 million. If you came with that cash offering and you brought it with a wicked mind, that man wouldn't take that from you. See, the difference is man will take that from you. Yahuwah not taking it. And see, somebody who's of God, see, they would know that and they would tell you, you can keep that money, brother. See, sit down. Sit down. No, ain't no hugging. Sit down. Fix your face. Hush your mouth. Hey. Hush your mouth. Cut it out. There's nothing wrong with you. You get out of pocket and you want to scream and holler, think somebody's supposed to have some sympathy. I have none. Just like Abraham didn't take the king's money. Listen what I'm telling you, man. A lot of dudes, a lot of brothers who in the word ain't wise enough to know. I'll give you an example what I mean, right? Dudes sell drugs. Now he want to bring drug money in the offering money. Everybody know he sell drugs, and most churches will still take that money. You know what I'm saying? Somebody who work for you, no, we don't want that offering, brother. You need to keep that. You take that back. See, that's why they didn't take Judas's money. You remember what the scribe said? Oh, that blood money, we can't put that in there. The crazy part is they paid the man to do it, and then said, we can't put that in the treasury, that blood money. Because them boys know, according to the law, man, you're not supposed to take that. Hey, cut it out. You about to get embarrassed in front of all these people. That's what's about to happen to you. He said, they said, just help me understand why my father told me not to put beer in his fridge. He drank, gave it up, and wanted nothing to do with it, even if he knew it wasn't his. Indeed, man. You got to pay attention to that. Man, some people will take anything. They don't care how you got it. They don't care. Well, Yahuwah don't operate like that. You might operate like that. He don't. And you need to get that out of your mind. That man, look here, you can sing a song of praise, but if your heart wicked, that man not accepting that. The same way that he say he don't hear the prayers of sinners, but he that do the will of Alahym. Let me just read it to you in John chapter 9. Am I finished in Hebrew? I am. See, a lot of people don't want to hear this John 9. This gonna step on some people's toes right here now. This is John chapter 9, verse 29 or verse 28. Then they reviled him and said, you are his disciple, but we are Moses' disciple. We know that Alahym spake unto Moses. This we know not from whence he is. The man answered and said unto them, why hearing is a marvelous thing that you know not from whence he is, and he have opened my eyes. Now we know that Alahym hear not sinners, but if any man be a worshiper of Alahym and do his will, him he hear. See, listen, if you don't do Alahym's will and you don't reverence and bow down to him, he's not accepting nothing you bring it. He's not accepting that. He don't want it. That's a sacrifice with a blemish in it. That's why you got to take up your stake daily. That's why you got to offer yourself as a living sacrifice. That's why you have to suffer in your flesh to cease from sin. This is a sacrifice acceptable to God as far as spiritually is concerned. He will take it. See, you not eating pork, but you still beating your meat. He don't want that. He don't want that. That's a sacrifice with a blemish. Many say Tyler Perry giving T.D. Jakes that offer of $1 million cash wasn't clean money because he had to pervert the image of a man to get it. See, the thing with Tyler Perry is number one, that you already know what that is, because them people can't talk about it being clean cash when it's a room full of sinners in the Potter's house. Not just Tyler Perry. It's a room full of sinners in there. So we ain't gonna isolate Tyler Perry just because people don't like that he put on a dress. Because at the end of the day, not to justify what this man be doing, this man was sexually, physically, mentally, and emotionally abused as a child. That's why he make the movies that he make. Because what you're seeing is really insight into the reality that he had as a child. But nobody gonna pay attention to that part because niggas don't really like the fact that a poor nigga who got touched on became a billionaire. Regardless if you like his movies or not, you would definitely need to pay attention to the fact that he put black people on. You know what I'm talking about? Just take the word out of the play for a second if such a thing was possible. This man has an entire studio dedicated to black folks and black films. All the people in his films are black. Because you should have left her alone. You're not her mama, you don't have to regulate her. But you were though. You do it unconsciously. Every time you do something, you feel the need to intercede. You don't need to intercede. Leave her alone. That's just on a natural level. That man feeding black folks all the way around the board. Ask yourself this here. What type of person you would think you would be if you lived with a man who you thought was your daddy, but he actually, you find out as a grown man, he's not your daddy, and this man beat on you every day of your life and your mama never stopped it? How would you feel if your mama knew that people were sexually assaulting you, men and women, and she never stopped them? See, this is the part of the game that I be referring to. This is not saying that Yedadiah, because Yedadiah may have not known that. That will be in the word and don't take no account into why people are the way that they are. Don't you know if a little boy get touched on as a child, he gonna question his sexuality for years? See, it's different when a woman gets sexually assaulted, her thought process is different than a little boy. If a grown man does inappropriate things with a little boy, that little boy might walk around and think he gay for a long time. Because all he knows is, for a certain extent, that certain things were pleasurable to him. That's all he gonna know. That's all he gonna know. So you have to take that into account. Because I seen him say, this man done say Medea was a mix of his mama and his auntie. But in reality, though, all the movies that he made, that junk is just insight to what he's seen as a child. Now, how many people y'all know who grew up and they people were beating on them like that, man? You probably know a couple. Most of you, whether you know it or are aware of it or not, know somebody who was sexually assaulted as a child. Man, that Johnson do something to your brain. He said, that made me think about how he said, if we have aught against our brothers. Yeah, indeed. Hashem mentioned that earlier. Indeed. You have to pay attention to that. That's not to justify his movies or his deeds. It's to give you insight to why he is the way that he is. See, if you have insight into why somebody is the way that they are, then you could actually have the ability to actually maybe help them. But if your only thought process is, I think like this, you ain't gonna help nobody. You really a selfish, arrogant, proud douchebag is what you are. That's why the book say, who can have compassion on those who are ignorant and out of the way? That's why he said that he was touched with our infirmities so that you can have a faithful and merciful high priest. This is why he became like you in order to actually be an aid, help, and a relief to you. So if your God did that, you should be able to do that for each other. You understand what I'm telling you? Just because you don't have to agree with somebody's ways to seek to understand the way that they think. How did you get here? You know what I'm saying? See, that's the actual component of having compassion, care, love, long-suffering, mercy, and grace, and the skill to speak a word in due season to him that is weary. But the only thing we be worrying about is, I'm going to tear down, I'm going to destroy your sin. Man, I told you that before, man. I sat down with a homosexual one time, man. The first thing the homosexual told me was, I know you're going to say it's a sin and I'm going to hell. I said, I ain't got to tell you that because you already know that. But what I can tell you that there's a gift of life for you if you want to take hold to it. I don't need to tell you you're going to hell for being a sissy. I don't need to tell you that it's a sin. You already know that. But you know why this person led with that? Because that's what everybody come at him with. So he already assumed that that's what it's going to be. All y'all sitting in here right now know, you came to me, I ain't never led to you about no sin you commit. I ain't never brought no word to you about no sin you commit. Ever. You ain't never came around this corner and heard nothing like that. What would I do that for? What would I do that for? Look here, I don't even talk about the stuff that most brews like to argue about. Man, I'm not sitting around talking about no woman wearing pants. You're not coming around here for that. Y'all already know where we at with that. I'm not talking about that. I don't care. It's not even important enough to discuss. Man, I'm not sitting around here talking about can women preach or teach or not and go on no rant about that. It's not important. It's not. I don't care nothing about no Sunday worship. I'm not talking. I don't care. I don't care. What I do care is that you believe the word and you make yourself whole and you receive the Ruach HaKodesh and the everlasting life. I'm not wasting time talking about that type of stuff. If you ask me about it, one thing, but if you think I'm leading with it, man, you don't know me too well. You ain't been around here that long. Because I'm not doing that. I'm not arguing about if Gentiles can be saved. I'm not talking about no virgin birth. I'm not talking about none of that stuff these niggas be talking about. I do not care. You know why? Because we don't minister to what everybody else is talking about. I focus on the people who are here and what we own. I can't be worried about what they own over there. What that got to do with us? That ain't got nothing to do with us. So we don't do it. You know what I'm talking about? Amen, brother. So listen. This man just don't take anything. Let me get this Proverbs 21, man. It's almost 9 o'clock. I've been going for a long time. I was 15 minutes late, so I can't tell you. It was a long one. Hey, cut it out. Cut it out. That's right. He didn't come to them to save. And look here, right? And anybody who know that, I've been preaching like that the whole time. See, some people, like, you always talk about going to hell. Like I told that lady yesterday, I'm not concerned with people outside of the house because they're already judged. I'm concerned. See, I wouldn't go to anybody outside of the house and rebuke and correct them because they're outside of the house. So they're not under the bounds of the rules of the house. But yeah, would I correct those who inside the house? Absolutely, because you say you under the bounds of that covenant. That's different. But then, even then, with most of y'all, you know what I'm talking about? Y'all know if y'all done did something, ain't nobody coming. That's why you're going to hell, you wicked bastard. Ain't nobody doing all that. Can't nobody sit around here and tell you that they got done like that. Individuals just perceive that I'm going to do them like that because they just already know they're wrong. Can't nobody tell you, oh, you wicked bastards, you're going to hell. You can get checked. All I'm going to tell you is, man, you know what you did, why you did it. You might have to have some accountability. You might have to stand before people and confess it because that's what the book say to do. See, we talking about accountability. Accountability is something totally different. That's something totally different. But you're talking about, oh, that's why you're going to hell. Who's going to sit around that, man? What type of level of compassion is that? Joanne, you getting on my nerves. Yeah, you need to go to bed. Hey, cut it out. Ain't nothing wrong with you. You need to go to sleep. Proverbs 21:15. I think we finished up in Isaiah 53. Proverbs 21:15. There's something wrong with this little girl. Joy to the just to do judgment, destruction to the workers of iniquity. The man that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. He that loveth pleasure, a poor man. He that loveth wine and oil shall not be rich. The wicked, a ransom for the righteous, and the transgressor for the upright. Better to dwell in the wilderness than with a contentious and angry woman. I want you to understand when he say you love wine and oil, you won't be rich. You think this man talking about natural riches, you's a fool? Because this man already told you that those who are rich in faith. See, if you love pleasure, it goes back to what's in Matthew 13. The cares and affairs of this life and the deceitfulness of riches choke off the word where you won't bring forth no fruit. See, if you like pleasure, you can never be rich. You'll never be full of faith. Because you love the flesh. That's a sacrifice you're not willing to make. Remember last week when we were talking about the rich man in Matthew 19? That was a spiritual sacrifice Yahushua was asking him to make, and he wasn't willing to make it. He wasn't willing to make it. That's something you have to consider. What else start at? Proverbs 21:20. Treasure to be desired, oil in the dwelling of the wise, but the foolish man spin it up. He that follow after righteousness and mercy find life, righteousness, and honor. Notice what he said, right? And what does John tell you? That grace and truth came by who? Yahushua HaMashiach. Say the law came by Moses. Moses did not bring you mercy and faith. That's not what he brought you. Meaning, he brought you the tree of knowledge and good and evil. He didn't bring you the tree of life. Yahushua brought you the tree of life. And if you follow after that which pertains to the tree of life, which we know if they eat from this tree, they shall live forever. Meaning that the righteousness of Mashiach Yahushua has caused me to overcome sin and death. I ain't say it right. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at it real quick. Y'all know it's in Romans 8. Y'all got the gist, though. But what he told you in Romans 8, that the law of the Ruach of life and Mashiach Yahushua made me free from the law of sin and death. When you follow after righteousness and mercy, then you will find everlasting life, the honor of being a son of God and the faith of God. That's obvious. We can deal with that just dolo in and of itself at another time if the Lord permit. Most people not following after that because they don't believe. Most people's faith is only contingent on knowing they're Israelite. Not that they got faith in Yahuwah, not that they got faith in his word, not that they got faith in his promises, not that they trust in his righteousness, not that through the midst of trials, tribulations, afflictions, and sufferings, that they will hold fast to his promises no matter what. That's why most people in this game don't bear fruit and prosper. That's why most people don't stay stuck to the word, because they don't believe the word. See, you want to say historical, you want to say cult, you want to say all these other things, but you don't believe in this man. That's why when stuff get tough, you move out the way. You know what I'm talking about? You don't have the fortitude and ability to keep on pushing. You know what I'm saying? You want to know one of the worst things that can hinder your success in anything? Stopping and starting. You know what I'm talking about? You can't be stopping and starting. And you know what happens every time you start over? You start back at the beginning point. You can't do that. I don't care how hard, son. You have to keep on going because you have to be consistent. You have to be consistent for years. Even if it don't look like it's going to be successful, you have to keep being consistent. I've told you for years, people don't like consistency because it's boring. But once you hear women on the internet say, I want a man that's consistent. Consistency is boring. There's nothing flashy. and alluring about being consistent? Because being consistent is doing the same thing every day. Consistency is built on fundamentals. It's built on fundamentals. You have to be fundamentally sound. You have to go when you're tired. You got to go when you're sleepy. You got to go when you're sick. You got to go when you don't feel like going. You got to go when it's raining. You got to go when it's snowing. You got to go when it's hot. You got to go when it's cold. When your mind set on, oh, I'm only do it when I feel like it or when I'm motivated, you ain't gonna never always be motivated. You have to be driven by what your purpose is, which is to save your soul. If you're not driven by that, then yeah, you're gonna take days off. Yeah, you're gonna take days off. I told you a dude asked me, do I take days off from preaching? Take a day off for what? Oh, it's hard. Man, come on, man. Come on, man. Nigga preachers talking about they taking a vacation. How you vacationing from the word of Yahuwah? Nigga, make that make sense. You need a break from God, you ought to go to hell. Really? Why would you do that? You take a break from your job. You don't take a break from Yahuwah. That don't make sense. Shalom, Sister Kelly. That don't make sense. That don't make sense. That makes absolutely no sense. Take a break for what? For what? You know, this man told me that's your pride that make you do that. No, nigga, I got a job to do, cuz. I got a job to do. And no matter what's going on around me, that doesn't affect what I got to do. But you're supposed to have that attitude as a man regardless. Not just with preaching no word. You don't think somebody been on here in here and on here that been stressed before, but I still got to do what I got to do? Look here, man, I'm going to tell y'all something, man. You know the biggest mistake? And I done told you this before. A lot of men make, you think a woman's supposed to move how you move. A lot of women don't have that fortitude to push through adversity like a man do. You shouldn't even think that they do. How in the world is you supposed to be her husband, her leader, her guy in the steed of Mashiach? And if Alahym is your rock and you supposed to lean on him, guess who your old lady supposed to lean on? She supposed to be able to lean on you. You can't look for her to navigate adversity on her own. At that point, you don't need to be there. It don't matter what you got going on. You should have thought about that before you said you wanted a wife insurance. You should have thought about that. But you know what ends up happening with a lot of brews, man? They don't tell young men to think about that before you take on the family, man. It is what it is. You lean on Yahuwah. Them people got to lean on you. Yeah, indeed. Amen, Brother Herman, man. Listen, it don't make sense. It don't make sense. This is why we looked at all the jobs, and you can see that everybody's not fit for them jobs. That's why he say the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. And it's always been that way. Levi wasn't the largest tribe, but the laborers were few that come from your law. Y'all already know that. You know what I'm talking about? Did them boys take a day off? Like, come on, man. You gonna tell somebody I can't give you no word of Yahuwah because I'm tired. I need to go out of town for a vacation. You a buster. I already know you don't work for God because Yahuwah would never do that. Does that mean, that means you could call the preacher any hour of the night or this, that, there, and the third? Now, come on now, have some common courtesy. You know what I'm talking about? You know exactly what I'm talking about. So the church supposed to close so you can hang out at the beach and go swim. That's what they say. You ought to go spend time with your family. You can spend time with your family the other 6 days of the week. Get your funky behind up and go do what this man told you to do. If that's what he hired you to do, how you gonna put the Lord on hold? These niggas out here tell you they put the Lord on hold. You don't work for him. You don't work for him. You don't work for him. Because you know what you just did? That man said, if any man come to me, let him forsake his father, his mother, his wife, his children, his brothers, his sisters, and his own life also. If you can't do that, you ain't fit to put your hand to the plow, you monkey mouth bastard Jew. You ain't nothing but a hireling. You don't care nothing about the flock. You don't care nothing about the sheep. You'll let the wolf come in and kill them all. You sorry bastard. That's right, Brother Nate. He said his yoke was light, but people get tired. Didn't he say he gives strength to the weary? How you hold niggas tired? But you say you got the spirit and God sent you, you lying bastard. You lying bastard. Book say Moses' natural strength never abated. What's we talking about, man? And guess what? Does that mean that these men didn't have some stress and pressure in their life? Of course they did. He said, in the world you'll have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I've overcome the world. How is you in this man and you troubled every day? That man said there ain't no peace for the wicked. How you niggas say you preachers of God and you ain't got no peace? Somebody lying. And that don't mean that life don't get hard. And that don't mean your flesh don't get weary. But I just mentioned it. He told you in Isaiah 40, he'll give strength to the weary. So you're not getting strength to the weary because your mind ain't stayed on him, because you don't trust in him, because you don't trust in Yahuwah forever, because Yahuwah is not your everlasting strength. You monkey mouth bastard. And I meant what I said, and I said what I meant, and I don't care who get offended or unsubscribe, because you niggas need to hear this stuff, because it's ridiculous. Because you know who's suffering? The people suffering. That's who's suffering. That's what nobody's concerned about. That's what nobody cares about. That ain't what nobody talking about. We suffering. Because that's what I told them earlier, man. And this is honest, good, and true. I told you plenty of times, these people don't care about us. So when I say us, I'm not separating myself from that, because like I told y'all before, when I came in the word, I wasn't in no internet community of Hebrews and Christians. I was around the people I've been around my entire life. Regular people, some criminal, some not. People who going through the struggle just like me, facing the same things that I'm facing. You know what I'm saying? Going through the same thing I'm going through. So when you showing me you don't care about me, that means you don't care about my church. These niggas don't care about us. They don't care about what you're going through. They don't care about what you're suffering from. They ain't got love. They don't care about none of that. They care about how they look in the eyesight of people. He said, we as women definitely can't handle pressure. That's why I can't understand why women be on social media begging to be men. Well, no, they're not begging to be men per se. They want what they perceive to be the authority of a man, but still with the benefits of a woman. Because they think that in a lot of women's minds, they believe men's life is easy. You know what I'm talking about? And that's just only from a false perception of what they think men get to do. You know what I'm talking about? But yeah, most women don't handle pressure too well. And truth be told, most women don't want to do the work it takes to get some money. And the women who do are not women you would want to be around on a day-to-day basis. To be 100% honest with you, it's not very many women that can still maintain a nice, sweet, and humble disposition while doing the necessary grunt work to really get hold to some money. I ain't talking about getting up to go to work every day. I'm talking about putting a plan, order, and structure in place to go out and bust your gun to get it. Usually women who do that aren't too pleasant to be around on a regular basis. You know what I'm talking about? And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with them. I mean, it takes a different type of mentality to get up and do that every day. When you talking about the stress that a man had to carry, man, a woman will pass that off in a heartbeat every chance she get. This is why most women complain about being a single mother, because the stress of carrying everybody, she don't want to do it. She doesn't want to do it. I'm not saying she should want to do it. I'm just telling you that y'all see it on a day-to-day basis. She don't want to do that. But a man doesn't have that option. He has to carry the weight of his family. Or if he doesn't, then he's denied the faith and he's an infidel. Because you can't say you serve God and you ain't doing whatever's necessary in your power to take care of your family. You can't say you do that. There's no way. You can't profess you were serving a God and you don't feed your children. You don't clothe. See, this is a difference, right? It's not about what you feed them, what you clothe them. It's not about all that, because who give a damn what you want? Do you have what you need? If you got what you need, you've done your job. But most people, they don't want all that. Because you know why? What did Jacob ask for when he was in Genesis 28? He said, if you give me bread to eat and raiment to put on, I'll give you a tenth for everything I got, and you'll be my Alahym. Because at the end of the day, what did Yahushua told you to pray for? Give us this day our daily bread. What did Proverbs 30 tell you? To have what? Just give me the food that's convenient for me. If this man supply you, because again, when he tell you that if you don't take care of your own, you denied the faith, he telling you that because when you came out of Egypt into the wilderness, he took care of his own. And when he brought you into the land, he took care of his own. So he's already showing you the fundamental principle through example, through execution of operation. So when you don't do it, you know you're going to hell because he did it. And then he came in the flesh and did it again. Yeah, you ain't getting around that. You don't see a lot of women as a manager or supervisor and cooperating. They choose wisely when it comes to putting women in certain positions. Yeah, I mean, you know, that's corporate stuff. I can't speak on that too tough. Just because I've heard black women say that the worst managers and supervisors they ever had was women. And I heard some who said they didn't have that problem. But I just know some women don't handle authority well in general. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, that's a whole other thing. She said, I was the only one around working at CBS Corporation. No, I get you. I mean, but also depending on the company, a lot of women don't really want to move up like that, depending on where. If it's corporate America, a lot of them will bust their behind to move up, depending on the company. And then some don't. But that come into what people talk about plenty of times. It's a lot of stuff that women aren't willing to do that men will do. A lot of women don't want to. If it's 70 hours to be worked in a week, some men will work that with no problem. A lot of women don't want to do that. They don't want to do that. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, they don't want to do that. I mean, I can understand because you don't never really hear dudes complaining about, unless it's in the movie like that lawyer chick, that, oh, my old lady worked too much. But you definitely hear a lot of women say, my man works too much. Because it's just a level of grind that a man is willing to do that most women are not willing to do. Just to be 100% honest with you. He said, I worked as a CNA for 7 years. Well, you got to understand something. Men are actually, when you look at nurturing is the aid to the growth and development. So you would have to ask yourself, in reality, by definition, how many women actually nurture anybody? You know what I'm saying? I know we look at nurturing as care and concern, but by definition, nurturing is aiding to the growth and development, and the man was charged to nurture his wife, to aid to her growth and development. That's why I told you no woman can't nurture me. I'm a 44-year-old man. How is she going to nurture me? That was my mama's job. And she did her job. I don't need no woman to nurture me. I'm not looking for no woman to nurture me. You can't aid to my growth and development as a man. If I need a woman to nurture me, I don't need a woman. Because that means I'm not mentally, spiritually, and emotionally prepared to deal with a woman. And as a man, you would have to know your wife can't nurture herself. That's your job. That's your job. That's your job. There's no way around that. That's what the text requires. But nevertheless, that's a whole nother deal. What you think the pastor's job is to do? To aid to nurture everybody under his charge, to aid to their growth and development. That's his job. Because that's what Mashiach did. And that's what the Father did. This is operational procedure. This don't nobody want. Why? Because people hate masculine authority. I don't want to listen to a man. I don't want to be directed to a man. Your hate for masculinity is really your hate for your Abba in heaven, truth be told. Your hate for masculinity is your hate for the Redeemer who sits at the right hand of the Father, Yahushua HaMashiach, truth be told. Because every man is in the image of Alahym. So whatever problem you got with men, you really got it with Yahuwah. But nobody want to talk about that. And I ain't talking about just with women either. I'm talking about everybody. Man and woman. That's who you got a problem with. It's with Yahuwah. But see, ain't nobody going to say that. Let me finish doing what we're doing. Proverbs 21 and 22. A wise scale of the city of the mighty and cast down the strength and the confidence thereof. We can return to that proverb. That's a whole nother conversation in and of itself. Whoso keep his mouth and his tongue, keep his soul from troubles. You know what that means? Guard your mouth. A lot of y'all find yourself in a lot of troublesome situations because you don't know how to keep your mouth closed. You know what I'm talking about? And you don't know how to keep your tongue. And what did James tell you? That the tongue is a fiery, even though it's the smallest member, it can defile you the most. And he said, if anybody can get control of their tongue, they can bridle their whole body. Because if you can't control your mouth, you ain't going to be able to control the rest of you. Let me read that James 3 for you. Don Joanne. Ain't no baby. James 3:1. My brethren, be not many masters, knowing that we shall receive the greater condemnation. For in many things we offend all. If any man offend not in word, the same a perfect man, able also to bridle the whole body. Behold, we put bits in the horses' mouths that they may obey us, and we turn about their whole body. Behold, also the ships which though so great, driven of fierce winds, yet they are turned about with very small helm, whichsoever the governor lists. Even so the tongue is also a little member, and boasts great things. Behold, how great a matter a little fire kindles, and the tongue of fire, a world of iniquity. So the tongue is among our members, that it defile the whole body, and set on fire the course of nature, and it is set on fire of hell. For every kind of beast, of birds, and of serpents, and of things in the sea is tamed, and has been tamed of mankind. But the tongue can no man tame. Unruly, evil, full of deadly poison. Therefore we bless we Alahym, even Abba. Therefore we curse we men, which are made after the similitude of Alahym. Out of the same mouth proceed blessing and cursing, my brethren. These things ought not so to be. Do a fountain send forth at the same place sweet and bitter? Can the fig tree, my brethren, bear olive berries, either a vine figs? So no fountain both yield salt, water, and fresh. And that's all that the Proverbs telling you, which is what James just told you. You keep yourself from the troubles of sin and everything that come along with it by having the ability to guard your tongue. That's why he said, if any man can tame his tongue, he's a perfect man. He can keep his whole body into subjection. That's why the book says, if a man cannot control his tongue, his religion is vain. Let me read that for you. James 1:26. James 1:26. If any man among you seem to be religious and bridle not his tongue, but deceive his own heart, this man religion is vain. Pure religion undefiled before Alahym and the Abba is this, to visit the fatherless and widows in their affliction, to keep himself unspotted from the world. You know what I'm saying? If you don't know how to keep your tongue under control, your religion is worthless. It's worthless. Because you ain't going to be able to control yourself and nothing else. And you have to remember that. Just because you can say something don't mean you should. Because remember, Proverbs tell you that. If he say, hey, man, if you done thought evil thing, put the hand over your mouth. Just because you think it don't mean you got to say it. But we done told that for years. Y'all know that already. This ain't the first time y'all done heard that. Verse 24. A proud, haughty scorner, his name, who deal proud in wrath, the desire of the slothful, killing, for his hands refuse to labor. He covered greedily all the day long, but the righteous give and spare not. The sacrifice of the wicked, an abomination. How much more when he bring it with a wicked mind? That man said, how much more of an abomination when he bring the sacrifice with a wicked mind? Now I wanted to read this Psalm 51 as it pertains to this sacrifice. Of what an example real quick of a spiritual sacrifice. And it'll line up to what's in Hebrews 13. That we just read that the other day. Psalms 51:14. As a matter of fact, when we was in that room yesterday, the dude told me, because you know, the people know, I tell you quick, bro, you got it. I ain't finna go back and forth with you, bro. I ain't gonna this, that, there, and the third. It's only a handful of people like, yeah, you need to be checked, you need to be told about yourself. But I didn't have to curse them to do it. I didn't have to revile them to do it. Now, one dude, he deserved to be reviled because he told somebody who said they was basically suicidal to go kill themselves. You know what I'm talking about? But he say he a preacher of the word and all this, that, there, and the third. talking bad about niggas' wives and all this other type of stuff. And you know why he said all that? In the midst of a doctrinal debate. So just imagine how this person would be just naturally dealing with people. If you get like that about a doctrinal debate, what you think you're going to do in real life situations? Psalm 51:14. Deliver me. Matter of fact, I'm going to give you 10. Create in me a clean heart, O Alahym. Renew a right ruach within me. Cast me not away from your presence and take not your ruach HaKadosh from me. Restore unto me the joy of your salvation. Uphold me your free ruach. Let me show y'all what that means. Before we get out of here, we're going to get back to the in more detail, y'all willing spiritual sacrifice. We had to set it up. That's what Wednesday is always for the setup for the remainder of the week. So when you see Holy Spirit here, of course, you know it's in lowercase letters. And of course, that is Ruach Kadosh. Originally, it's not the HaKadosh or the set apart breath. But he said, don't take your set apart breath from me. Why is that mentioned? Why do y'all think David made that statement of don't take your set apart breath from me? Why do you think he said that? I'm going to see how deep off in the text y'all can go as far as paying attention to certain patterns. Why do you think he said that? Now, of course, you know, this is dealing with what he did with Bathsheba and Uriah the Hittite. So why do you think David would make the statement, please don't take your set apart breath from me? Now, I want you to understand this is not the Ruach HaKadosh that you read about in the New Testament. Because dudes had an argument about this. Of course, y'all know this. We haven't talked about it on a focus tip. Did they have the Holy Ghost in the Old Testament? Sure. But it wasn't a continual indwelling like you get in the New Testament. And when you got the Holy Spirit, the Ruach HaKadosh, shalom, Brother Robert, it did not set you free from sin and death like it do in the New, which is the major difference. You know how we know this? Because Samson had the Spirit on him. Did he die? Isaiah had the Spirit on him. Did he die? David had it on him. Did he die? My point exactly. Moses had it on him. Did he die? Why do you think David said that? Oh no, this ain't got not the Genesis there. That ain't why he said it there. I can see why you would go there though. I gotta understand that. I definitely understand why your mind would go there. No, that ain't why he said it. Cause that. Let me tell y'all what this is because we're running short on time. So Saul, what happened with Saul? Saul was anointed king. In 1 Samuel 10, let me just show it to you. Let me just walk it down for you. Make it plain. I show it to you out of text. Come over here to 1 Samuel 10, because that'll be easier for you. I know y'all probably know the story, but it might be people who don't. You say the breath of life? Yeah, and I can see why y'all would say that, but that's not why he made that statement. I'm finna show you why. 1 Samuel chapter 10. I want to get straight on to the point. Pick it up at verse 5, though. After that, you shall come to the hill of Alahym, where the garrison of the Philistines. It shall come to pass when you will come to the city, you shall meet a company of prophets coming down from the high place with a psaltery and a tabret and a pipe and a harp before them, and they shall prophesy. And the ruach of Yahuwah will come upon you, and you shall prophesy with them, and you shall be turned into another man. Number one, it's letting you know that when the Spirit come on you, you will be changed. It say you'll be shoes, you'll be better, but that's a whole nother deal. We got an old video where we went over that years ago. It's in here somewhere. So listen. And it came and let it be. And when these signs are come unto you, you do as occasion serve you for Alahym with you. And you shall go down to Gilgal you shall go down before me to Gilgal. And behold, I will come down unto you to offer burnt offerings, to sacrifice of peace offerings. 7 days shall you tarry till I come to you and show you what you shall do. And it was that when he had turned his back to go from Samuel, Alahym gave him another heart. And all these signs come to pass that day. Now we might refer back to that. You got to have another heart for that ruach to come on you, and that ruach gonna give you another heart when you get it. But check this out. Come over here, stay in Samuel. What we want is it? Is it 13? 1 Samuel 16. Come over here to 1 Samuel 16. First, before I read 1 Samuel 16, come over here to 1 Samuel 15. 1 Samuel 15 and 7 or 6. 1 Samuel 15 and 6. And Saul said unto the Kenites, go, depart, get you down from among the Amalekites, lest I destroy you with them. For you showed kindness to all the sons of Yasharal when they came up out of Mizraim. So the Kenites departed from the Amalekites. And Saul smote the Amalekites from Havilah. You come to Shur, that over against Mizraim. He took Agag, the king of the Amalekites, alive, and utterly destroyed all the people with the edge of the sword. But Saul and the people spared Agag, and the best of the sheep, and of the oxen, and of the fatlings, and the lambs, and all good, and would not utterly destroy them. But everything vile and refuse, that they destroyed utterly. Then came the word of Yahuwah unto Samuel, saying, it repent me that I've set up Saul king. For he has turned back from following me and have not performed my commandments. And it grieved Saul, and he cried unto grieved Samuel, and he cried unto Yahuwah all night. And when Samuel arose early to meet Saul in the morning, it was told Samuel, saying, Saul come to Carmel, and behold, he set him up a place and has gone about and passed on and gone down to Gilgal. Samuel called to Saul, and Saul said unto him, Baruch you, Yahuwah. I have performed the commandment of Yahuwah. Samuel said, what then this bleating of sheep in my ears and lowing of oxen, which I hear? Indeed, Johnny. And Saul said, they've brought them from the Amalekites, for the people spared the best of the sheep and of the oxen to sacrifice unto Yahuwah your Alahym, and the rest we have utterly destroyed. Then Samuel said unto Saul, stay, and I will tell you what Yahuwah said to me this night. And he said unto him, say on. Samuel said, when you were little in your own sight, you, the head of the tribes of Yasharal, Yahuwah anointed you Malach over Yasharal. Yahuwah sent you on a journey and said, go, utterly destroy the sinners, the Amalekites, and fight against them until they be consumed. Wherefore did you not obey the voice of Yahuwah, but did fly upon the spoil and did evil in the sight of Yahuwah? Saul said unto Samuel, yea, I have obeyed the voice of Yahuwah, and have gone the way which Yahuwah sent me, and have brought Agag, the king of Amalek, and have utterly destroyed the Amalekites. But the people took of the spoil of sheep and oxen, the chief of things which should have been utterly destroyed, to sacrifice unto Yahuwah your Alahym in Gilgal. Samuel said, have Yahuwah delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices as in obeying the voice of Yahuwah? Behold, to obey better than sacrifice and to hearken than the fat of rams. See, people like to bring that verse in, but don't deal with what the context was. And it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Them people was finna try to make a sacrifice to Yahuwah with stuff that he didn't even want. So they could have sacrificed all them sheep, all them goats, and the best of everything they got, and Yahuwah would have rejected it because he didn't want it. And he told him it would have been better for you to do what the man told you to do than to offer him some goddamn sheep he didn't ask for. And that's what it means to the sacrifice of the wicked is an abomination. How much more when he bring it with a wicked mind? This is a literal example of that. For rebellion, the sin of witchcraft and stubbornness, iniquity and idolatry, because you have rejected the word of Yahuwah, he rejected you from king. So listen, I'll read the rest of it. Saul said unto Samuel, I sinned, for I transgressed the commandment of Yahuwah and your words, because I feared the people and obeyed their voice. And this, amen, Brother Herman, and this is why Paul said, should I be the servant of men or the servant of Mashiach? Because if I yet please men, I wouldn't be the servant of Mashiach. You can't make decisions because the people going to be upset. Who gives a damn what the people want? What did Yahuwah tell you to do? What did Yahushua tell you to do? You cannot lead based off what the people want. That's what he said. Be more ready to hear than give a sacrifice of food. You can't do that. That's what got Aaron in trouble. The people. Now, therefore, I pray you, pardon my sin and turn again with me, that I may worship Yahuwah. Notice that you will not hear Samuel say that your sin will be pardoned. Samuel said unto Saul, I will not return with you, for you have rejected the word of Yahuwah. Yahuwah have rejected you from being king over Yasharal. Because you know what that young lady said yesterday? It's never too late. People need to stop telling people that. Don't stop telling people it's never too late to repent. That's a lie from hell. Once that man turned you reprobate, it's over. Once you've rejected the word, you're done. You can't willfully have the word and go back from it and think he's still going to be there. That's not how this works. That's not how this works. Ain't that's what people tell people? It's never too late. Y'all need to stop telling people that, because Yahuwah never said that. That man say, while today is still today, hear his voice. But he also told you in Proverbs that if you don't want to hear him, he told you in Isaiah 66 that when I called, they didn't answer. And when I spake, they didn't hear. So therefore, I give them over to a strong delusion. That's what the man told you. Right here in Proverbs chapter 1, this man kept it even harsher than that. Those of y'all who've been around here for a long time, y'all know what's in Proverbs 1. And it's hard, but it's the reality of the situation. Proverbs 1 says this right here, right? 1 and 20. Wisdom cried, without she utter her voice in the streets. She cried the chief place of the concourse, in the openings of the gate. In the city she utter her words. How long, you simple ones, will you love simplicity? And the scorners delight in their scorning, and fools hate knowledge. Turn you at my reproof. Behold, I will pour out my ruach unto you. I will make my words known unto you. But I have called, and you have refused. I've stretched out my hand, and no man regarded. You said at not all my counsel, and would none of my reproof. I will laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your fear come. When your fear come as a desolation, and your destruction come as a whirlwind. When distress and anguish come upon you, then they shall call upon me, but I will not answer. They shall seek me early, but they shall not find me. For they hated knowledge. They did not choose to fear Yahuwah. They would none of my counsel. They despised all my reproof. Therefore they shall eat the fruit of their own way, and be filled with their own devices. Man, it can be too late. You got to stop telling people that. That man ain't ever told you that. That's what you want to tell yourself. That man is not on that. If that man bring his word to you when you turn it down, he turning you down. And you're not going to be able to come back. Paul told you that in Thessalonians, he'll give you a strong delusion that you should believe a lie because you took no pleasure in righteousness, which is what Isaiah 66 tell you. People say these things, and then this stuff is not in this book. This man didn't say this. You giving people false hope. Right here in Isaiah 66. He said, he that killed an ox, this is verse 3, and slew a man, he that sacrificed a lamb like he cut off a dog's neck, that offered an oblation, as swine's blood, he that burned incense and blessed an idol, they've chosen their own ways, their sole delight, and their abominations. I will also choose their delusions and bring their fears upon them. Because when I called, none did answer, and when I spake, they did not hear, but they did evil before my eyes, and chose in which I delighted not. Well, that's not how that man operates. That man don't operate like that. A lot of people get it in their mind that you could treat Yahuwah like that dude you know who always liked you, but you looking for a better option to come down the line because you thinking that dude always gonna be there. Well, Yahuwah ain't no simp or no sucker. If you don't want him, he don't want you. That's how he operates. You gotta want him, and he not like you suckers and simps. He not gonna make you love him. You gonna love him because you want to love him. You gonna please him because you want to please him. But if you don't love him and you don't want to please him, he ain't mad at you, but he ain't gonna be there waiting for you, and he ain't gonna accept you. You niggas will accept a nigga who don't want you. He won't. He ain't gonna do it. You know what I'm talking about? Because see, with Yahuwah, you got to reciprocate with him, and he'll reciprocate with you. If you think he gonna put in all the effort and you ain't gonna do nothing, he ain't gonna be there for you. He'll take a step to you, but you got to put in something too. You have to. See, it's the same way that at least in America, most women feel like, the man not to call me, she ain't never got to call him. Yahuwah don't operate like that. He'll call you one time, and then he gonna see if you gonna call on him. And if you don't call on him, he won't be there when you really want him. He'll be gone. Because you thought he was gonna chase you. He's not gonna chase you. He's not gonna chase you. He's not gonna do it. He said, if you knock, he said, seek and you'll find. Knock and it'll be answered. Ask and it shall be given. You have to put effort towards him, and he'll put effort towards you. If you don't put effort towards Yahuwah, he's not putting no effort towards you. He's not going to do it. He's not going to do it. And he's going to let you believe the lie that you want to believe so that you can be filled with the fruit of your own doings. And he'll give you over to your lust to see what your end going to be. He'll give you just what you want, just so you can go to hell with it. That's why when you like this here, man, but sometimes Yahuwah don't give you the desires of your hearts because he'll know how wicked your heart is. I'll read you that Thessalonians 2 just in case you thought I was making that up. Sometimes we don't consider that. That man don't give you the desire of your heart because he know how wicked your heart is. Man, if that man shows some people their hearts, man, these niggas will choke on their own spit. Hey, stop it. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. That's 1 Thessalonians, so that ain't going to help. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 9. And with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this cause Alahym shall send them a strong delusion, that they should believe a lie, that they all might be damned who believe not in the truth, but have pleasure in unrighteousness. You take pleasure in that which is wrong, he gonna take pleasure in letting you take pleasure in that, so you can go to hell with it. That man don't play them type of games, man. Man, when that man call you, you better answer. You know what I'm talking about? Boy, that man say seek. He said, you said seek my face, and he said, you I will seek. See, it ain't just about singing songs and do like you got to really get down in the mud, my nigga, and grind on that, man. Well, you got to be hungry for it like the werewolf of London, you understand? That man say, man, all those who are hungry after righteousness, they shall be filled. A lot of people, you ain't hungry for this man faith. You're not hungry for life. You don't, and you playing games. You got to dedicate your whole life to this. You got to commit to it, no matter what's going on. People only want to serve Yahuwah when stuff going their way. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. Not if you want everlasting life. Now, if you don't want everlasting life, you can do what you want. Come over here to 1 Samuel 16, though. 16 and 7. I'm going to just read verse 7 on the strength. But Yahuwah said unto Samuel, look not on his countenance or the height of his stature, because I refused him. Yahuwah not as man see. For man look on outward appearance, but Yahuwah look on the heart. See, everybody say that God know my heart. You don't know what that means. Contextually, scripturally, Saul was shoulders above everybody else. So physically in stature, they looked at him and said, yeah, he got to be a king. David was short in stature and a handsome man. But though as handsome and tall as Saul was, his heart was sour. And this is why Paul said, man, don't look on outward, don't judge according to outward appearance. Don't do that. Because that's what most men do. Oh, look at his outfit. Look at his zeets. Look at his fringes. You looking on the outward, inside your heart, sour as hell. The Lord said the same thing. He said, man, y'all like withered sepulchres. Outward will appear beautiful to men, but inside full of all rottenness and dead men's bones. All manner of hypocrisy is in there. That's what's in there. Peace, Brother Joseph. See, a lot of y'all think that Yahushua was going around talking about their doctrine. That man was talking about them people's hearts. I ain't got to cut up your doctrine when your heart's sour. I'm trying to get your heart clean. See, Saul's heart was sour from the jump. From the jump. We'll drop down to verse 14. But the Ruach of Yahuwah departed from Saul. Well, let me back it up. Verse 12. And he sent and brought him in, now ruddy, withal a beautiful countenance, goodly to look to. Yahuwah said, arise, anoint him for this heat. Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him in the midst of his brethren. The Ruach of Yahuwah came upon David from that day forward. So Samuel rose up and went to Ramah. But the Ruach of Yahuwah departed from Saul, and the evil Ruach from Yahuwah troubled him. Because of Saul's sins, Yahuwah took that spirit from him. This is why David prayed, please don't take your spirit from me. That's why he said that. Because he seen what happened. Remember, David was the one playing the harp for the evil spirit to come off him. So David knew what would happen if he put his spirit on you and then you went backwards. He gonna take it. He saw it. He witnessed it. We don't be considering that. You got to consider that. You know what I'm talking about? I'm going to read that again, man, one more time. Verse 11, Psalm 51. Cast me not away from your presence and take not your Holy Spirit or Ruach Kadash from me. Restore unto me the joy of your salvation. Uphold me with your free Ruach. What does that mean when he say with a free Ruach? We ain't talked about this in a long time. Y'all know what free is, right? This here, right? This is Nadid. This is willing, noble, generous, incited, inclined, noble in character, a prince of willing, free, but most importantly, honorable. He say, uphold me with your honorable spirit. Hey. He say, will I teach transgressors your ways, and sinners shall be converted unto you? Deliver me from the blood guiltness, O Alahym, you Alahym of my salvation. My tongue shall sing aloud of your righteousness. O Lord, open you my lips, and my mouth shall show forth your praise. For you desire not sacrifice, else I would give it. You delight not in burnt offerings. The sacrifice of Alahym are broken ruach. A broken and contrite heart, O Alahym, you will not despise. Do good in your good pleasure unto Zion, and build you the walls of Jerusalem. Then shall you be pleased with the sacrifices of righteousness. With burnt offering and whole burnt offerings, they shall offer bullocks upon your altar. And y'all willing on Shabbat, we'll talk about that. What is the sacrifices of righteousness? These whole offerings and burnt offerings. I'll come back over here to Hebrews 13 and we'll stop right there. Because we'll talk about what that means, that, yeah, we keep the sacrificial law, just not like how you thinking. Hebrews 13. Verse 10. He said, we have an altar whereof we have no right to eat, which serve the tabernacle, for the bodies of those beasts whose blood is brought into the sanctuary by the high priest for sin are burned without the camp. Wherefore Yahushua also, that he might sanctify the people with his own blood, suffered without the gate. Let us go forth, therefore, unto him without the camp, bearing his reproach, for we have no continuing city, but we seek one to come. By him, therefore, let us offer the sacrifice of praise to Alahym continually. That is, the fruit, lips giving thanks to his name. But to do good and to communicate, forget not, for which sacrifices Alahym is well pleased. Notice what he said was a sacrifice here, to do good and communicate. What does that mean? And we could look at Hosea 4:2 about the sacrifice of praise, the 14, I should say. What's to do good and to communicate? To do good in this instance is yo poiee, to do beneficence, to do good, adoring good. What it is to communicate? That is koinonia, that is fellowship, community, joint participation. The share which one has in anything, participation, fellowship, intimacy. The right hand has a sign, a pledge of fellowship. Giftly, jointly contributed, a collection, a contribution. Exhibiting an exhibition of embodiment of proof of fellowship. So this man tell you that you ought to do good and that you ought to be intimately involved with one another. That you should have the right hand of fellowship, or right hand of fellowship deal with the apostles. So let me stop that right there. But to have fellowship with each other. He say he'll accept those sacrifices. We don't even look at that as that's a sacrifice before God. But it is though. Hallelujah for Yahushua in the word. I appreciate y'all. I bless y'all, the house of Alahym, in the name of Yahushua. Love y'all. Yahuwah willing, man. We'll be back at it on the Shabbat. With it, we should be able prayerfully to run each one of these offerings down as it pertains to the law and line them up rather quickly, if you would permit. But yeah, that's why, peacemaker. That's why I told the dude what I told him when he asked that question. He just didn't answer back. No. He just didn't answer back. So I didn't get a chance to hit him off with that pack. And of course, I was going to hit y'all off with that pack regardless. You know what I'm saying? Stay safe out there too, Brother Mark. I love you too, man. You know what I'm saying? So it didn't get a chance to come out there, which of course, it could have been different things, man. Indeed, brother. That's why it might have been different what I would have hit him off with, because it would have been off the top. The same way that pretty much that was this evening. Yes, ma'am. You know what I'm saying? Because I was telling somebody this the other day, like, Shalom, Sister Regina. Like, I like, if you hit me up, we could talk about it more. But if you just think I'm just walking around with just lessons prepared to just drop at any given moment, I've been doing this a long time, so that's not really how that works. You know what I'm talking about? Because a lot of the stuff that we dealing with is coming off the top, which most of y'all already know that. I haven't written down what I was going to do, like, in totality since 2012. You know what I'm saying? And I can remember that because, yeah, we wrote stuff down, and I'm not averse to anybody who write down what they're going to do. It's not that you wrong. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong about it. But I can recall that when we was in my cousin townhouse. I think it was, I know at least Nell and Muffin was there. That much I do remember. I can't recall if the Glovers was around at that time. They might have been, though. But I remember it came into my mind, you know what I'm saying, to not write the stuff down no more. Because I wrote them down detailed, too. You know what I'm saying? And only Lil Muffin can really tell you how, because what I used to do at that time was, because it wasn't that many of us, so it didn't really matter. I would write it down like almost in a style that you would get if your professor gave you something about, okay, we dealing, it was real detailed. And then I would give it to them so that they could be able to follow as we rolling. You know what I'm saying? Because I say it wasn't number really Muffin and Nail, so it wasn't a big deal to do that. You know what I'm talking about? So yeah, it was very detailed at that time. You know what I'm talking about? And I write it out, give it to them. But after that, like now it's more so like because it's not like what it was when we would use Ustream or because sometimes there used to be a time I wouldn't know what we were going to deal with until I sat down. But now because I have to come up with a title on YouTube to stream, I'm going to have a framework of what it is that we're going to do before we start. So, you know, I might have an idea, you know what I'm saying? Of course, you know, the whatever verse we using. But a lot of stuff like, yeah, like the only thing came in my mind on what we were discussing this evening that I knew I was going to use was Romans 12:1 and 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 9. Those are the first things I would have told Buddy. And then after that, it would have been whatever came to my mind after that, to be 100% honest with you. You know what I'm saying? In the course of that conversation. You know what I'm saying? With us, it's a little different because we have to touch a lot of different elements or whatever we discussing and dealing with. You know what I'm talking about? So that's just how that works. But yeah, like if you come out, like the time period of me just dropping like that junk, man, I ain't did that on a regular basis in a decade. You know what I'm talking about? And that's because we were preaching in the street or people came to the house. Now, like I said, if you ask me a question, we could rock and roll. But I know more people just thinking, oh, man, you just probably throwing word. No, I don't. I do not run up on people and just offer word without them asking for it. If you don't ask me for it, then I'm not going to give it to you. It's pretty much how that works. You know what I'm saying? Because if you look at the Lord, unless it was like he was on a mission, that man just didn't. You think this man was sitting in people's house and just smacking them across the head for word and they ain't asked for it? Like, I'm still a human being. I'm gonna tell you this here, man, because I don't want you to have the idea just because I know a lot of dudes be like they like what that clip with Gino was talking about. He was like, man, don't do all that junk, man, praying over the greens like you like that. Like you own that 24/7. Man, you ain't really like that for real, cuz. And niggas know you faking. You know what I'm talking about? Like, I don't have to act like I just drop word any and everywhere I go to everybody. Because I don't. Yes, sir, Zoe. Because I don't. Man, when I'm out and about, man, if don't nobody ask me about no word, bro, I'm not saying nothing. Even when I'm on stages on Clubhouse with people, man, I just don't automatically just go dropping word on people. You know how sanctimonious that is, man? You know what type, man? Come on, man. Ain't nobody even asked you for that. Nobody even asked you for that. Nobody asked you for that, bro. Unless he moved me to do that, man, I'm not saying nothing. About nothing. At all. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, man, you know what I'm talking about? Man, I've been doing this a long time, man. Some of y'all know, man, I used to do this every day of the week. End of the day, I say that to say this. The reason why it's like that, because it shows the desire and hunger for the people. See, if you just going smacking people across the head with it, that don't mean they really want it. But if they hungry like the Welfare Wolf of London, then they going to go seek that out because that's what they want. That's why he told you to do that. You know what I'm talking about? A lot of people not seeking that out because you looking for somebody to bring it to you because that's not really what you want. It looks like what you want. It seems desirable, but you don't really want it like that because you're not willing to put in any work to get it. He said, another understanding, walking on water away the way he was going, he had the intentions of. Oh, no. That's fulfilling something in Psalms and what's in Genesis chapter 1. Remind me about it on Friday. I'll show it to you. Y'all wouldn't. Just remind me about it. I'll show it to you where it's at in Psalms, but that's in the Psalms. That's in a couple Psalms. You know what I'm talking about? To be real with you. He was fulfilling something in Psalms. But yeah, man, you got to want that. Don't you know how many people think Yahuwah just going to come up and give them the word? And that's how most people think. But this man told you got to, this man posted it, Brother Herman put it in there earlier. He said, search the scriptures. He said, seek out the book of Yahuwah and read. He said, seek after me. You got to want that. See, your desire going after it shows how bad you want it. If you waiting for it to come, that's just like a nigga who wants some money. Man, ain't no money going to come to you if you waiting on it unless you get passive income. Then, of course, you waiting on your money because you know it's coming. Because you are, but guess what? You put in the work to set up a situation. Salute, Dave. You put in the work to set up a situation and circumstance where money could come to you passively. You had to put in the grind and the work to get it to where it could come to you. You ain't have to go get it. Because you ain't finna get no money just sitting around waiting for it to come to you, but you're going to have to go bust your gun to get it. You're going to have to go out here and you're going to have to do something. You're going to have to grind and you're going to have to commit. You're going to have to be disciplined. You're going to have to do stuff when you don't want to do it or feel like doing it. Or when you want to go have some fun, you're going to have to forsake the fun to do what needs to be done to get where it is that you say you want to be. And can't nobody make that decision for you but you. And everybody don't want to do that. Yeah, most definitely, brother. I heard that, Dave. Oh, I know you ready to chill on out there, just getting off. I'm glad to hear it. Now, you got to be hungry for that, man. You waiting for somebody to bring you some words, you're going to be waiting forever. Let me read that where that man told y'all that, man. Luke 11. Now, what I mean by you'll be waiting forever, he'll call for you, but he going to see if you're going to answer the call. See, the call is for you to come on and get it. Like we read in Isaiah 66, like we read in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, like we read in Proverbs chapter 1. He finna see if you're going to come and get that. What he say in Luke 11 and 9? And I say unto you, ask, and it shall be given you. Seek, and you shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. For everyone that asks, receive. And he that seek, find. And to him that knock, it shall be open. Now ask yourself this question. If you think, Shalom, bro. Hey, I appreciate it, man. Listen, I pray everything good with your household also, bro. You think if you came and asked me for a word, I'm going to tell you, hell no, get out my face? Every last one of you know that ain't never happened. In 12 years, that ain't never happened. If you ask for it, I'm going to give you what you ask for. If you seek after it, I can at least give you a baseline of what it is that you're looking for so you can figure that out. But if you don't seek for it, I'm not looking for you to be like, well, you want a lesson today? Are you crazy? You want you a word today? No, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that at all. Because God don't do that. You say, do you think a person is supposed to pray for good fellowship and do the work? Now, fellowship is different. You know what I'm talking about? Because now I am a firm believer in this, that Yahuwah will direct you exactly where it is that you need to be. You just have to have the spiritual discernment to perceive if this is a place where Yahuwah is present and his word is present, and then that's where you fellowship at. You understand? Most people want to fellowship out of a sense of camaraderie just because. You know what I'm talking about? Versus fellowshipping with people who actually want to be saved. Which is a little different. Because the fellowship and camaraderie is going to be drastically different when you're dealing with people who actually want to be saved. See, everybody talking about being with like-minded people, but it's very rarely that those like-minded people are people who want to be saved, who want everlasting life, who want to be strengthened by the words of faith and be perfected by the Ruach HaKodesh. It's not very many people who really own that for real. So if that's what you own, and then you recognize that wherever, because everybody's at where they're supposed to be at. If you know what I'm talking about, at any given time. Sometimes some people be in the wrong spots, and Yahuwah will get you up out of them spots to get you to where he wants you to be. Because I told you this before, and the text bear witness to this. If the man letting you get understanding is so you can live forever. You know what I'm talking about? If he don't want you to have understanding, you won't never get it. You won't never get it. You know what I'm talking about? You won't never get it. So if you in a position where you can receive understanding, then you would have to ask yourself, how did I get here? Well, Yahuwah obviously directed me here. Now, if the understanding is not what you want, then you're going to go to hell. Because you would have did exactly what's in Proverbs 1. You would have rejected it. You would have rejected it. You know what I'm talking about? Because a lot of people don't want understanding, and a lot of people don't want to live forever. To just be 100% honest with you. That is not what everybody wants. Now, GP, boy, you post a lot of things that don't make no logical sense. But that one right there, that make a lot of logical sense right there. The time is at hand. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to realize that. Sometimes you don't have to press and push and be like, I need to find a fellowship. If you genuinely seeking after Yahuwah, then he'll direct you in that direction. I think that's what a lot of, and I can understand, and I say because I ain't never been to church, so just me observing and listening to people, I can understand because a lot of people, nobody wants to serve God by themselves, and nobody wants to navigate by themselves. So you feel like I got to find me a church home, or I got to find me people to fellowship with, and you push pride and force yourself, you know what I'm talking about, to do that. Instead of just remembering the same thing he told you about money. Seek the kingdom of Alahym and his righteousness first, and those things will be added unto you. So if you desire to communicate, like we read in Hebrews 13, if you genuinely seeking after Yahuwah, and look at the key component, what he said, to seek after the kingdom of Alahym first. He didn't say he'd bring it to you. He told you to go seek after it. If you genuinely seeking after Yahuwah first, then he'll direct you in the path of people whose heart is knit with his, whose spirit is knit with his, you know what I'm talking about, and who's seeking him, and you'll be good. But you have to have your mind focused on Yahuwah. And then it'll be obvious. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to worry about jumping over mountains and hills to find that. Because if you seeking him, that's where he gonna take you. If you genuinely believe you a son or daughter of the living Alahym, then he's not going to take you to fellowship with a bunch of wicked people. Does that mean there won't be some people who out of order amongst them? Of course. But we're more so talking about the pureness of the word that's flowing forth and in general. Dave got Proverbs 16 and 9 on the holy God. That's right. A man's heart divides his way, but you will direct his steps. That's all you got to do. He'll do the rest. You ain't got to be stressed nor pressed. You know what I'm saying? Because look here, right? I remember, Dwight remember, I remember, well, I mean, praise Yahuwah. You know what I'm saying? I mean, everything we do is for a reason. You know what I'm saying? If that's what you were praying and seeking after, then yeah, he's going to get you where it is that you need to be so that you can be perfect with him. Like I say, man, Dwight can tell you when we was in Walmart, when we first met little Johnny, man, Dwight was like, you know that nigga? I'm like, man, I ain't never seen this nigga for a day in my life. He was like, oh, you be the dude who be on Blog Talk. This man was in the city the whole time. He just happened to hear a Blog Talk from somebody who I know from the internet. I don't know how he know about my man Sal, but he heard it, and then he happened to see us in Walmart. And guess what in turn that lead to? That leads to his wife getting on the word. Praise you for it. Praise you. East can tell you, he don't even know if the dude who put him on to what we got going on even in the word no more. One thing you ain't got to do is go seek. Let me tell you something, man. If Yahuwah calls you to come across somebody who served him for real, then he directed you there for a reason. Now, whether you appreciate it or not, that's between you and the Lord. That's between you. Well, pray, amen, Brother Herman. That nigga say Johnny was stalking. That boy, that wild. I mean, I understand the moon. I understand. You know what I'm saying? I ain't telling nobody. I don't tell nobody to trust nobody with your soul. You know what I'm talking about? Because you should only trust Yahuwah with your soul. You know what I'm saying? And even still, just like what the Lord said, regardless of what you might see this person doing, he said, everything they say do, but don't do after they work. So if the nigga a hypocrite, that ain't got nothing to do with you. You do what the words say do. Now, I'm not saying that means that I'm running around here living a double life, because I ain't got time to do that. That's too much work. To be 100% honest with you. You know what I'm talking about? To be walking around here trying to live two different lives. Shoot, one life is expenditure enough. To be 100% honest with you. You don't care. You just a disrespectful, square-head little girl. No. No. No cry. No cry. Nobody cares. You're not even crying for real. I'd have put this box over your head. Ain't nothing wrong with her, y'all. She be fake. She thinks she can cry away to getting what she wants. I don't care. You say, when I was listening to Gino, I remember you say a lady told him she knew T.D. Jakes was a false teacher and she didn't care. Oh, yeah, some people know they teach a trash. They don't care. No, that's a true story. Some people know they teach a trash. They don't care. Well, praise you, amigo. Yeah, man. Some people don't care. Like Amuna said, you ain't supposed to let anybody feed your soul. I just mentioned that verse on what he told you in Matthew. I mean, you know what I'm saying? In Matthew 23. You know what I'm saying? Just always remember to stick to the word. Just stick to the word. What the word say do that. Well, let me get on up out of here, man. I appreciate y'all. I bless y'all at the house of Alahym in the name of Yahshua. Love y'all. Yahuwah willing. We'll pick this up on Shabbat. But go do then.